Hello and welcome. This is Alan from Acupuncture Gold Coast and Acupuncture Brisbane. Thank you for taking the time to view this short video. Today I'm going to be talking about hay fever, a very appropriate time. As I've just been so wonderfully reminded by Ron, we're almost at the 1st of September and the beginning of spring. So a couple of things occur there, of course. One is we have many of the trees and the bushes coming into blossom, and number two, we have those infamous northerly winds here in southeast Queensland. The combination of the two is enough to stir the pot of the hardiest individual. However, those of us who are already predisposed towards irritation of the mucosal lining of the sinus and also the respiratory system itself respond in quite a virulent manner. I guess sneezing is the initial response, but added on to that, in severe cases of hay fever, there's the constant rhinitis, the runny nose, the sore throat, and there's just the general feeling of, oh my God, you know, here we are again, it's spring and I'm going to be smashed for however many weeks, or in some cases for some individuals months, it takes for the blossom to settle down and for the winds to change from blowing from the inland to the sea breezes, where there's less potential and possibility of the blossom blowing through the air. Why does it occur? Hay fever. Again, it's a combination of factors. There's a constitutional predisposition. Certainly some individuals will tend to suffer more from conditions like hay fever than others, no question about that. There are lifestyle factors. There are, in some cases, we might be consuming substances on a daily basis within our diet that will cause a constant irritation of the mucosal lining of the body. That includes the sinuses, the digestive system and the respiratory system. If that continual irritation is present, then the likelihood of suffering from hay fever attacks increases proportionally, because there's already predisposition, already an irritation or an inflammation of the mucosal lining, especially in the sinus and in the respiratory system. How does acupuncture help with hay fever? Again, the beauty of, or in my experience, the beauty of the application of traditional East Asian medicine to many of the common conditions that we tend to suffer from is that this is not a modern phenomenon. This situation has been occurring and been suffered by humans for aeons, for thousands of years. So in East Asian medicine, there have been strategies that were evolved and developed thousands of years ago to help people that suffered from these conditions, specifically from hay fever. We have a ameliorated scenario in the West, in as much as that our seasons, or when I say in the West, in southeast Queensland, our seasons aren't quite as marked. They are very marked in the Northern Hemisphere, particularly in a climate like a Japan, or in China, where there's definitely a summer, there's an autumn, there's a winter, and there's a spring. Here the seasons roll into each other a little bit. So the expertise that's been gleaned historically in the treatment of these conditions with East Asian medicine, in particular with acupuncture, is very deep and very thorough. Clinically, I've had great success in working with people that suffered from hay fever and respiratory problems as a result of environmental stimulation. The bottom line, the acupuncture works both in a way of an anti-inflammatory perspective, but also of strengthening the immune system so that the system itself is not so heavily wired towards the irritation that comes as a result of the blossom and the spring winds. I hope that's of some benefit. This is Alan from Acupuncture Gold Coast and Acupuncture Brisbane. Thank you very much for taking the time.